It was a sunny Saturday afternoon. The small town park was full of life. Children laughing, birds singing, the smell of grilled meat floating through the air. Near the center of the park, under a big oak tree, a black family had gathered for a peaceful barbecue. They had balloons tied to a bench, folding chairs, coolers, and music playing from a small speaker. It wasn't loud, just enough to give a happy feeling. Marcus stood near the grill, flipping burgers and smiling at his daughter Maya, who was running around with a kite. His wife Tanya was setting up plates on a table. It was Maya's 10th birthday, a small, family picnic. Nothing wild, nothing big. Just love, food, and laughter. But someone else in the park didn't see it that way. Karen watches from a bench just a few feet away. A woman stared. She was in her late 40s, white, and wore sunglasses, a sun hat, and a frown. Her name was Karen. She sat alone, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the family with disgust. She pulled out her phone, clicked it open, and began filming. Then, without hesitation, she dialed 911. The call begins 911. What's your emergency? Karen spoke in a firm voice. Yes, I'm at the public park on Willow Street. There's a group of people there loud, taking over the whole area. There's smoke, alcohol, and I don't feel safe. The operator asked calmly. Are they threatening anyone, ma'am? Karen looked again. The kids were laughing. The adults were laughing too. Still, she answered, they're acting suspicious. You should send someone before it gets worse. She ended the call and placed her phone on her lap. Her lips curled into a small smile, as if she had done something good. She looked back at Marcus and his family. They'll learn, she whispered to herself. Meanwhile, at the BBQ, Marcus laughed as his uncle told a silly joke. Maya ran into her father's arms and hugged him tight. Best birthday ever, Daddy. He picked her up and spun her around, gently. Tanya clapped and took pictures. The smell of grilled chicken mixed with the warm summer breeze. To Marcus, this was perfect. A rare day off, a chance to make memories, a moment to show his daughter what happiness looked like. He had no idea someone nearby was planning to ruin it. The patrol car arrives 15 minutes later. The sound of a police siren broke the peace. Everyone turned their heads. A white patrol car pulled into the park. The engine stopped. The door opened. Karen sat up straight, her face lighting up with pride. She expected the officer to walk straight to the family and demand they leave. She expected to feel powerful, but what she didn't expect was the man who stepped out of the car. The unexpected officer. The officer was tall, calm, and professional. He wore sunglasses, a clean uniform, and brown skin. He was black. His name tag read, Officer D. Daniels. Karen's smile disappeared. She stood up slowly, trying to control her face. Officer Daniels didn't walk to her. He walked to Marcus. Good afternoon, sir, he said politely. We received a call, just checking in. Everything all right here? Marcus looked confused, but nodded. Yes, officer. Just celebrating my daughter's birthday. Burgers, music, nothing more. The officer looked around. He saw children playing, food on the table, smiles everywhere. No shouting, no fighting, no crime. The tension grows. Karen walked toward the officer, her voice sharp. Excuse me, officer, I called you. This group is disturbing the park. Officer Daniels turned to her. Calm. Ma'am, they're in the designated picnic area. The noise level is normal. There are no violations, I see. Karen's mouth opened in shock. But they have music, smoke. There are children, and the man was drinking. Marcus held up a soda can. Just root beer, ma'am. The officer nodded. That's correct. Karen's voice rose. So you're not going to do anything? Daniels looked at her quietly, then said, Ma'am, you called 911 because a family was having a peaceful BBQ. I didn't feel safe, she insisted. He asked calmly, did anyone threaten you? No. Did they approach you, yell at you, cause harm? Karen looked away. No. The moment of realization. People in the park had begun watching. A few had started recording with their phones. Karen suddenly realized she was now being watched and judged. Her voice had power a moment ago. Now, it felt weak. She mumbled something and walked back to her bench. The officer turned to Marcus and gave a small smile. Sorry for the interruption. Happy birthday to your daughter. Marcus smiled politely. Thank you, officer. Appreciate you. As Officer Daniels walked back to his car, he passed Karen once more. He said nothing, but the message in his eyes was clear. You were wrong, and the world saw it. Inside Karen's mind, Karen sat still. For the first time in a long time, she felt small. She had called the police, expecting trouble, expecting punishment. Instead, she got a gentle officer and a mirror to her own actions. Her heart pounded. What had she really done? Back to the party, Marcus knelt beside Maya, who had watched everything. She looked up at him. Why did the police come? Daddy, he smiled softly. Sometimes people don't understand us, but that doesn't mean we did anything wrong. She nodded, trusting him. The music played again. The family laughed again. The grill smoked again. But the moment had changed something. A complaint meant to destroy a happy moment had become something else. The first spark of a fire the whole town would soon feel. The park felt quiet for a moment after the police left. The birds still chirped. Kids still played, but something had changed. Marcus tried to return to the barbecue, but the weight of what just happened stayed with him. Tanya placed a gentle hand on his arm. "You okay?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I just didn't expect to be reminded today." Reminded of what Maya asked, tugging at her father's shirt. Marcus looked into her curious eyes. That even when you're doing nothing wrong, people can still treat you like you are. Can meanwhile, online what Marcus didn't know was that someone nearby had recorded the whole incident. The video showed everything, from Karen shouting to Officer Daniels staying calm. Within hours, the video was posted on social media with the caption, "Karen calls cops on Black family for BBQ," but the cop wasn't having it. The clip spread like wildfire. Thousands of people began to watch, comment, and share. The officer handled it with class. Why is this still happening in 2025? This family was just celebrating a child's birthday, but not everyone supported them. Some defended Karen, some claimed the family was too loud, or didn't belong in that area. And slowly, the quiet park moment became a national conversation. Inside Officer Daniels' car, Officer Daniels drove slowly through the neighborhood after the call. He had handled hundreds of complaints before, noise gatherings, even BBQs, but this one stayed in his mind. He could still see Karen's angry face and Maya's confused eyes. He pulled into the station parking lot and sat there for a while, hands on the steering wheel. It wasn't the first time he had seen racism, but every time he saw it against another black person, it hit a little deeper, especially when it was aimed at a child. Marcus gets a call later that evening. Marcus's phone rang. It was his brother Darnell. "Bro, you're not gonna believe this, you're going viral." "What?" Marcus asked, confused. "Someone posted the BBQ thing. The cop, the Karen, everything. You're everywhere, man." Marcus opened the video. He watched the moment Karen accused them, watched himself holding a soda, watched Officer Daniels speak calmly and professionally, and then he saw the comments. So many people stood with them, but some didn't. That was the part that hit hardest. Karen sees the video too back at her apartment. Karen sat on her couch with her laptop open. She had just poured herself a glass of wine when a text came from her niece. "What did you do? You're on the internet." Karen clicked the link. At first, she didn't understand what she was seeing. Then, she realized it was her own voice, her own face, her own actions, recorded and shared. People were calling her names in the comments. Classic Karen. This is what racism looks like. Shameful. Her heart raced. She slammed the laptop shut. But the damage had already begun. A community reacts by the next day. The entire town was talking. At grocery stores, at schools, at church. Everyone had seen the video. Some praised the police officer. Some reached out to Marcus with support, but others stayed silent, and that silence felt loud. One teacher who saw the video whispered to her coworker, "He's such a kind man. Why would anyone call the cops on him?" Maya tries to understand that. Night. Maya sat on her bed, quiet. She wasn't smiling like before. Tanya walked in and sat beside her. "You're not sleepy?" she asked. Maya shook her head. "Why did that lady say we were dangerous, Mama? We were just playing." Tanya felt a lump in her throat. She didn't want her daughter to carry the weight of the world so soon, but she also knew the truth had already found her. "She didn't know you, baby. She judged you because of something on the outside. That's not fair, and it's not right, but it happens." "Will it happen again?" Maya whispered. Tanya hugged her tightly. "We'll protect you, always." Media gets involved by the weekend. News reporters began contacting Marcus. Local and national channels wanted interviews. They wanted to hear his side, but Marcus wasn't sure. "I'm not a symbol," he told Tanya. "I'm just a dad who wanted to grill burgers for his little girl." "But maybe your voice will help someone else," she replied. After some thought, he agreed to one interview with a local black reporter named Nicole, the interview that changed everything in a small news studio. Marcus sat under bright lights. Nicole asked him, "What was going through your mind when the officer arrived?" The morning after the interview, the video had reached over 2 million views. People were talking not just in town, but all across the country. TV stations replayed the moment Karen called the police. Then cut to Marcus standing calm, holding a soda can. "This is what quiet strength looks like," one host said. "This isn't just about one BBQ, it's about years of being treated like less." But while the internet stood with Marcus, Karen's world was falling apart. Karen's online life explodes. Karen sat at her kitchen table, laptop open, heart pounding. Her Facebook page was flooded, hundreds of angry comments, people calling her a racist. Old photos of her with friends were now covered with hateful replies. "This you, shame on you. Mind your business next time." Someone had found a comment she posted last year, where she wrote, "These people are always loud and disrespectful, not surprised." That screenshot was now spreading fast. Her name was trending, and not in a good way. Why did she do it? Karen stared at her reflection in the screen. She didn't look angry anymore. She looked empty. She thought back to that day in the park, the sound of laughter, the way the kids ran freely, the music, the dancing, the joy, and somehow, in her heart, that joy had made her feel something ugly. Was it jealousy, bitterness, loneliness, or maybe The way she had been raised had taught her that families like Marcus's didn't belong in places like hers. She didn't. No, but for the first time, she wasn't defending herself. She was questioning herself. Community voices speak up in town. The conversation was growing louder. People began sharing their own experiences. A black teenager shared how he was followed in a store last week. A Latina mother said she was told to speak English at the grocery counter. An older black man shared how police were called on him for walking his dog in a nice neighborhood. One comment under Marcus's video read, "This BBQ story is just the tip of something bigger." Marcus read that and nodded to himself. He knew the truth, and now, so did the world. Maya's school reacts at Maya's school. Things were different now too. Her teacher, Mrs. Clark, pulled her aside kindly. "You doing okay, Maya?" The video, Maya nodded, but she looked tired. Other kids whispered when she walked by. Some smiled at her. Some didn't know what to say. One girl came up and said softly, "I'm sorry that happened. It wasn't fair." Maya just smiled weakly. She was only 10, but she was learning something most adults didn't understand. That kindness was a choice. Even when the world wasn't kind to you. Karen's face on the news that night. The local news did a full segment on the BBQ story. They blurred Karen's face but showed her actions clearly. A community leader spoke out. "This isn't about one woman. It's about how quick we are to judge black joy as a threat. This has to stop." People watched across the country. And Karen. She sat in her dark living room, arms crossed tightly, but her eyes wet with quiet tears. She had become the symbol of something she didn't understand and now couldn't escape. A call Karen didn't expect. Karen's phone rang. It was her sister, Karen. "I saw everything," her sister said. "I need to say something hard." Karen sighed, bracing for more anger, but her sister continued. "You hurt people. That family didn't deserve it. And maybe this is the moment you need to ask yourself who you've become." Silence. Karen couldn't argue this time because she didn't like the answer. Marcus takes a walk. That same evening, Marcus took a walk through the park alone. The barbecue table was empty now. The grill cold, balloons gone, but the feeling of that day still hung in the air. He sat on the same bench Karen once used. His thoughts were heavy, not with hate, but with questions. How many more times will this happen to us? Will Maya always have to explain who she is before someone listens? As he stared at the sunset, a soft voice broke the silence. "Excuse me." A stranger approached. Older white man stood a few feet away. He held a small brown envelope in his hand. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for what happened to you and your family," he said. "I've lived here all my life, and I've never said anything when stuff like this happened, but after seeing that video, I can't stay silent anymore." He handed Marcus the envelope. Inside was a note. "To Maya, your smile made the park brighter. Never stop smiling. You belong everywhere." It was signed, "From someone who's still learning." The truth spreads. More messages came. And after that, emails, DMZ letters. People who had never spoken up were now speaking. They admitted their silence. They admitted their fears. They admitted their change. Marcus read each one with a full heart. Because even though pain had started, this story, truth was beginning to heal it. Karen stormed back in her apartment. Rain tapped on the windows. Karen sat with an old photo album. Photos from her youth. She saw herself smiling. Free, happy. But over time, her face in the photos changed. Harder, eyes a colder smile. She realized something important. She had let bitterness win. She had let fear choose her voice. And now, she had a choice to make. Stay silent in shame, or stand up and say something real. Karen hadn't left her apartment in days. The video was still online. The comments hadn't stopped. Her name was now known across the town and beyond. She kept asking herself one question. Why did I even call the police that day? She had told herself it was about the noise, or the smoke, or the rules. But in her heart, she knew none of that was true. A lonely life. Karen lived alone in a quiet 2-bedroom apartment. No husband, no children, just silence. There were photos on the walls from a time when her life looked full. Her graduation, her first home, her real estate license. But if you looked closely, the smiles had faded over time. She wasn't always bitter. She wasn't always angry. So what changed? Flashback to 7 years ago. Karen walked into the office, holding a coffee in one hand and a resume in the other. She had worked at that real estate company for nearly 10 years. She had trained new agents, met every target, and hoped for a promotion. But when the manager called her in, he said, "We've chosen someone else for the regional position." She blinked. Who? Jamila Thomas. Karen's heart dropped. Jamila was new, confident, smart, and yes, black. But Karen didn't see Jamila's talent. She only saw her skin. She smiled politely in the meeting, but inside, something ugly started to grow. Bitterness builds over the next few years. Karen's heart changed. Every time she saw a black woman succeed, it felt like a reminder of what she didn't get, what she lost, what she deserved in her mind. She started using words like, "They only get hired to fill a quota. It's not fair. It's reverse racism. People like us don't get chances anymore." Bit by bit, the bitterness became normal. And when she sat in that park, watching Marcus and his family laugh freely, She didn't see joy. She saw something she had forgotten how to feel, belonging, and it made her angry. Now, in the present, Karen stood at her bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. No makeup, no filters, just her. She whispered to herself. You called the police, not because you were scared, but because you were angry. They were happy. She didn't like how that sounded, but it was the truth. And truth once seen couldn't be unseen. A letter arrives one morning. A letter came in the mail. No name, no return address, just a single envelope with a note inside. You ruined a little girl's birthday, but you still have time to fix something else. There was no threat, no hate. Just a reminder. Karen held the note in her hand for a long time. A visit to her sister later that day. Karen drove to her sister's house. She hadn't seen her in months. Her teenage niece, Emily, opened the door. Emily didn't smile. She just walked away without a word. Karen sat at the kitchen table with her sister, Susan. Susan sighed. I never thought you'd become the type of person who calls the cops on a picnic. Karen stayed quiet. You were always strict, Karen, but this was hate. Tears formed in Karen's eyes. I didn't think it was hate. I thought I was standing up for something. I don't even know anymore. Susan leaned forward. Then maybe it's time to stop defending the past and start fixing the future. Meanwhile, Marcus reflects. Marcus sat in his garage, looking through a scrapbook. Photos of Maya growing up, her first bike, her school play. He stopped at a photo of the BBQ taken just before the police came. Everyone was smiling. He whispered to himself, they don't even know us, and they still see us as a problem. He wasn't angry anymore. He was just tired of explaining, tired of proving his family was human. But he also knew giving up wasn't an option, especially not for Maya. Maya asks a hard question that night. Maya sat on her bed, legs crossed. Daddy, she asked. Yes, sweetie. Will people always be scared of us? Marcus felt his heart crack. He sat beside her, pulled her close, and said, some people live in small boxes in their minds. They don't know how big the world really is. But you're going to show them, just by being you. Karen begins to understand at home. Karen opened her laptop. She watched the video again, but this time, she didn't watch herself. She watched Marcus. His calm, his dignity, his strength in silence. She watched Maya holding her father's hand, confused and innocent, and something inside Karen broke, not in a bad way, but in the way a closed door finally opens. She starts writing. Karen opened a blank document. She began to type, to the family in the park. I see now that what I did was wrong. I let my past pain turn into present harm. I judged you without reason. I called for help when no help was needed, and I hurt a child's birthday with my fear. The days after the BBQ incident were quiet, on the outside, but inside Marcus's home, things had changed. Maya didn't smile the same. She still played, still laughed, but only for a moment. Then her face would fall back into silence. She had questions, big questions, the kind 10-year-old should have to ask. And Marcus knew it was time to answer. A new morning on a calm Sunday morning. Marcus woke up early. He walked outside and sat on the porch, coffee in hand. The sun was rising slowly, painting the sky gold. He heard small footsteps behind him. It was Maya. She wore her favorite purple hoodie and carried her sketchbook. Couldn't sleep? He asked softly. She shook her head and sat beside him. They watched the sunrise in silence for a while. Then Maya whispered, Daddy, did we do something wrong at the park? Marcus looked down at her. Her eyes were wide, innocent and unsure. Placed his arm around her. No, sweetheart, he said gently. You didn't do anything wrong. None of us did. Then, why did that lady call the police? Marcus sighed. It was the question he had feared, the one he had practiced answering in his head 100 times, but now, it was real. Sometimes, Maya, people don't like what they don't understand. They see us laughing, dancing, being happy, and instead of joining that joy, they fear it. Not because we're bad, but because they've been taught to see us as different, and different scares them. Maya looked down at her sketchbook. She had drawn a picture of the BBQ, her balloons, her friends, the grill, the park, but in the corner, she had drawn a small police car. Maya's pain? I was scared when the car came, she whispered. Marcus's heart broke a little. Thought they were going to take you away. Marcus hugged her tightly. No one is going to take me away. Not while I'm breathing. But they didn't even ask if we were okay, Maya said. They just believed that lady. Marcus nodded. I know. She looked up at him with tears in her eyes. Is that gonna happen again? A father's promise. Marcus took a deep breath. Maya, I can't promise it won't happen again. But I can promise this. We will always rise. We will always stand. And we will never, ever let someone else tell us who we are. Maya nodded. Slowly. Marcus continued. You are smart. You are strong. And you are loved. And the world needs people like you to show it how wrong it's been. The photo frame. Marcus stood up and went inside. He came back holding a small photo frame. It was a picture of his own father, Maya's grandfather. Your grandpa faced worse than this, he said. He couldn't even sit at certain restaurants. He had to drink from different water fountains. But he never gave up. And now? You're sitting here free because he kept going. Maya smiled at the photo. He looks kind, she said. He was, And strong, too. Just like you. Maya's idea after breakfast. Maya picked up her sketchbook again. She started drawing something new. It wasn't just the barbecue. Anymore now, she drew Officer Daniels standing tall. She drew her family smiling. She drew the park full of people of all colors together. She titled the page, "We All Belong." Marcus saw the drawing and hugged her again. "That's beautiful, baby. I want to hang it at school," she said. Marcus smiled. "Then let's hang it together." Meanwhile, Karen's letter. While Marcus and Maya shared healing, Karen sat in her apartment, holding the letter she had written. She wasn't sure if she should send it, but something inside her, maybe guilt, maybe change, told her she had to. She slipped it into an envelope, wrote the name to the family. In the park, she walked out for the first time in days and placed it gently in a mailbox. Then she closed her eyes and breathed. At school, a quiet moment on Monday. Maya arrived at school with her sketchbook in hand. She gave it to her teacher, who smiled and promised to display it on the classroom wall. By lunchtime, several classmates came to her. "I saw your dad on the news. My mom said what happened to you was wrong. You're really brave." Maya didn't say much. She just smiled. But inside, she felt something she hadn't felt since the BBQ day. Pride, not just in herself, but in her family, her voice, and her truth. Marcus reflects that night. After Maya went to sleep, Marcus sat on the couch with Tanya. "She's stronger than we think," Tanya said. Marcus nodded. "She's got a fire in her," he said, "just like her mother." They laughed quietly. Then Marcus added, "I don't know what comes next, but whatever it is, I know we'll face it together." Tanya leaned her head on his shoulder, and for a moment, the world felt soft again. A letter arrives the next morning. Marcus found an envelope at his doorstep, no return address. He opened it and began to read. "Dear Marcus and family, I am the woman who called the police that day. I was wrong, completely wrong. I let fear and bitterness guide me. I judged you unfairly. I don't ask for forgiveness, but I want you to know, I am trying to change. Your kindness, your calm, and your strength have taught me more than you know." There was no name at the end, just a final line. "Thank you for showing me what true grace looks like." The letter from Karen shook Marcus. He read it twice, then a third time. Still no name, no signature, just truth. Tanya read it too. She stayed quiet for a long moment, then said softly, "It's not everything, but it's something." Marcus nodded. Maybe it was a first step, but outside their home, the world had started walking much faster. The internet explodes. The video of the BBQ had now crossed 5 million views. News clips, TikToks, reaction videos. People around the world were reposting the moment Officer Daniels arrived. Karen's meltdown, and Marcus's calm response. It had become more than a local issue. It had become a symbol. Hashtags were trending. Hashtag BBQ Isle Black. Hashtag We Belong. Hashtag Justice at the Park. Everyone had an opinion. Some defended the family. Some defended Karen. And some just wanted to watch the fire burn. Maya goes viral. Someone had posted Maya's drawing online, the one she made for school, the one titled, "We All Belong." It melted hearts. Thousands of people shared it with the caption, "Attention understands more than most adults." Celebrities reposted it. Activists, educators, even politicians. Maya had become a quiet voice of hope, without even knowing it. When Marcus showed her the post, she gasped, "That's my picture." He smiled, "Yes, baby. And the world sees you now." Karen gets exposed. Meanwhile, Karen's name was leaked online. At first, it had been hidden, but someone from her neighborhood posted, "That's Karen Smith, real estate agent. I've known her for years." And suddenly, everything changed. Her workplace was flooded with calls. Clients dropped her without warning. Her social media was bombarded again, this time worse than before. "You ruined a child's birthday. You're why people fear calling the police." Apologize in public, but no one knew about the letter she had written. Not yet. The town divides in Marcus's town. The BBQ incident had created a split. Some people stood with the family, supporting, defending, showing love. Others were angry at the attention the town was getting. At the grocery store, a woman whispered, "They just want to be victims." Another man in the barber shop said, "Why are they making such a big deal out of one phone call?" But there were also signs of change. A group of teachers wore shirts that read, "Everyone belongs at the table." The park put up a new sign near the BBQ area, "All families welcome. Hate has no home here." Marcus gets a request. A local news station reached out to Marcus again. They wanted him to join a town hall meeting, live streamed online. Topic: what happened at Willow Park, and where do we go from here? At first, Marcus hesitated. "Not a leader," he said to Tanya. "I just wanted to celebrate my daughter." "But maybe," she said, "that's exactly why people will listen to you." He agreed. The town hall begins. The community center was packed. Dozens of chairs, cameras, microphones. On one side sat Marcus, Officer Daniels, and a local pastor. On the other side sat a few city officials. And to everyone's surprise, entered quietly and took a seat in the back. No one noticed her at first. She wore no makeup, no hat, no mask, just honesty on her face. Marcus speaks. When it was Marcus's turn to speak, he stood slowly. He looked around the room at friends, strangers, supporters, critics. Then he began, I'm not here because I want attention. I'm here because this can't keep happening. We were just a family, in a park, celebrating love. But we were treated like a threat. Not because of our actions, but because of our skin. The room was silent. This isn't just about one day. It's about a system, a mindset, a fear that needs to end. My daughter was scared of a police car at her own birthday, and I want to make sure the next child doesn't have to be. Karen is senior. The end of the meeting. Someone spotted Karen in the back row. Murmurs spread. A few people pointed. Some whispered angrily. Others watched in silence. Karen stood up slowly. She looked at Marcus, then at the audience. I don't expect kindness, she said, her voice trembling. I just wanted to listen, to hear what I ignored before. She didn't ask to speak. She didn't defend herself. She simply sat back down, eyes lowered. But her presence spoke loudly. The online reaction shifts that night. Clips from the town hall went viral, especially Marcus's speech. People called him the father America needs, the quiet voice of reason, a hero without a cape. But there were also mixed feelings about Karen's appearance. Some said she was faking, others said she was brave for showing up. But one comment stood out. This isn't about punishing Karen, it's about healing what made her think that call was okay. A letter from a stranger. A few days later, Marcus received another letter. A week had passed since the town hall meeting. The online buzz had slowed, but in Karen's heart, things were just beginning. For the first time in years, she felt something unfamiliar. Not anger, not pride, but shame. And strangely, hope. She had written a letter, she had shown up in public, but she knew that wasn't enough. A quiet morning, Karen cleaned her apartment in silence. She removed old decorations, took down photos that no longer brought her joy, put her real estate license in a drawer. It didn't feel like her anymore. Then she picked up her phone and dialed a number she had been avoiding. It rang once, twice, then hello, said a calm voice. It was Tanya, Marcus's wife. Karen swallowed hard. Hi, I'm Karen, the woman from the BBQ. I was wondering, would you and your husband speak with me? A pause, then Tanya said, I'll ask him. Marcus's choice. When Tanya told Marcus, he stayed quiet. He didn't respond with anger, didn't say no. He simply asked, why now? Tanya shrugged. Maybe she's finally ready. Marcus stared out the window at Maya playing. Then he nodded. All right, but I want Maya out of the house when she comes. The visit that Saturday afternoon, Karen stood outside Marcus's front door. No makeup, no excuses. She carried no bag, just a folded piece of paper in her hand. When Tanya opened the door, Karen looked nervous. Thank you, she whispered. Inside, Marcus waited on the couch, his face calm but unreadable. Karen sat across from them. The conversation begins. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Karen said, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to explain, not to defend myself. But so you know, I've been thinking a lot. Marcus listened without blinking. I grew up being told certain people didn't belong in certain places. I didn't question it. I didn't challenge it. And when I saw you laughing in that park, part of me just reacted. Not from fear, but from something ugly I didn't even know was still inside me. Marcus responds. He finally spoke. You saw joy, and you saw danger. That's the problem, Karen. She nodded, eyes filled with tears. I know, and I'm so sorry. You didn't just ruin a birthday. You reminded my daughter what fear feels like. Karen looked down. She shouldn't have to carry that. No child should. Karen's gesture. She unfolded the paper she brought. This is a formal apology for your family. I also shared it with my company and online. She handed it to Marcus. The letter was short, but heartfelt. I was wrong. I let bitterness speak louder than kindness. I judged a family I didn't know, and I deeply regret the pain I caused, especially to a child. I am committed to learning, listening, and changing. Marcus read it silently, then folded it. Words matter, he said. But what you do next matters more. Tanya speaks. Tanya finally spoke. Karen, we're not perfect. No one is. But we try to live with love, not fear. That day, you let fear take over. But now, it's on you to live differently. Karen nodded. I want to do better. I know I can't erase what I did, but I want to help, somehow. An unexpected idea. Later that week, Tanya had an idea. She contacted Maya's school and suggested something bold. Let's do an art show about kindness, respect, and belonging. The school agreed. They invited every student to draw or paint something that showed unity. Maya was excited. Karen volunteered to help set up the show quietly. In the background, the art show. On the day of the show, the school gym was full of colors, posters, and families. One drawing showed two hands, one dark, one light, holding a heart. Another showed a park with different people laughing together, but in the center of the room was Maya's new drawing, a picnic table, with an empty seat. Under it she had written, there's always room to change. Karen stared at it. For a long time, she felt something heavy, and something healing, a quiet reconciliation. After the show, Karen approached Marcus and Tanya again. She didn't say much, just a simple, thank you, for letting me be here. Marcus didn't smile, but he nodded. Tanya replied, everyone deserves one chance to change. You're taking yours. Karen turned to Maya and gently asked, "Can I say something to you?" Maya looked up, unsure. Karen bent slightly and said, "I'm sorry, sweet girl. I let fear make me forget what kindness looks like, but your smile reminded me again." Maya didn't speak, but she nodded, and sometimes that's enough. The light returns that night. Marcus sat with Maya. "How was the show?" he asked. "It was good," she said. He showed her the framed apology letter from Karen, now hanging near the front door. "Why'd you hang it up?" she asked. Marcus replied, "Because it reminds us how far we've come, and how far we still need to go. But most of all, it shows that change is possible." Weeks had passed since the barbecue incident. The town had changed. Not completely, but something had shifted. The park was now filled every weekend. Different families, different colors, laughter that echoed without fear, and in one corner of Marcus's living room sat a small photo of Maya holding her "We All Belong" drawing, now framed. That it had become more than just a picture. It had become a voice. A special day at school, Maya stood on stage in front of her classmates. It was Courage Week, and every student had to speak about something they had learned. Some talked about standing up to bullies. Some talked about trying new things. Then it was Maya's turn. She took a deep breath and held her small note card. Her hands shook a little, but her eyes were calm. "Hi, my name is Maya. I want to talk about something that happened at my birthday party. A lady called the police on us. We were just having fun. I was scared. I thought something bad would happen to my daddy, but my daddy stayed calm. He didn't yell. He showed me that sometimes the strongest people are the quietest ones." The room was silent. Maya smiled softly, then added, "That lady said sorry," and I believe her, because everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone tries to fix them. I learned that being brave doesn't always mean being loud. Sometimes it means standing for what's right, even when people don't understand. Her teacher wiped away a tear. The room erupted in soft applause. The story reaches farther. A local reporter was at the school that day. They wrote about Maya's speech. Within a day, the article spread online, titled, "From Fear to Forgiveness. A 10-year-old girl teaches a town how to heal." People all over the country read it. Some cried. Some remembered their own childhood pain. Others reached out to Karen, just to say, "If Maya can forgive, maybe I can too." A picture on the wall back at home. Marcus hung up Maya's newest artwork. It was a drawing of the same picnic table, but now, every seat was filled with people of all races, all smiling. Over it, she had written, "Together is the best place to be." Tanya looked at it and said, "She's already changing the world." Marcus replied, "She changed mine first." Karen writes again. Karen didn't attend the school event. She knew the spotlight wasn't hers anymore, but she sent a letter to Maya's teacher. Inside was a short note for Maya. "Dear Maya, you are the kind of person I hope to be one day. Thank you for teaching me what real strength looks like. Keep drawing, keep smiling, keep changing the world gently." It was signed, Karen Smith, with a heart drawn in the corner. Final moments at the park on a warm Sunday afternoon. The family returned to the park. Same picnic table, same trees. But this time something was different. Other families waved at them. Some joined their table. Some brought food. It had turned into a community picnic. Marcus looked around and felt something powerful: safety, respect, and finally, peace. One last picture before leaving. Tanya snapped a photo. Marcus and Maya standing together. Maya holding her drawing, smiles wide, eyes bright. A photo of what love looks like, even after pain. The last word that evening, Maya wrote in her journal, the one her grandmother gave her. At the bottom of the page, she wrote one sentence: "We all make mistakes, but we can still choose kindness." And maybe, in the end, that's what this whole story was about. Not just race, not just justice, not even forgiveness, but the quiet power of kindness and the choice to be better every single day.